I know we're not supposed to like him, but let's hope it's good.
So I didn't go into priestly ministry to be involved in budget work and finances and balance sheets and paying bills and dealing with vendors and repairs and contracts and all those things. However, any of us who end up to aspire to or end up serving in school administration will have to have some level of competencies in some basic elements of fiscal management. Let's be honest. We've talked a number of times during this seminar about how to make our school have to look Catholic and to have Catholic identity and Catholic culture. And I would subscribe to this point that just like we have all of the exteriors, not exclusive to the atmospheric appearance of a school that would make it Catholic, and not just personnel and not just curriculum, but also in the way that we spend our money. And so there can be a Catholic way of administrating, a Catholic way of budgeting, and we do so through the prism of our mission, for we are indeed mission driven. So the way we spend our monies and use them virtuously and with integrity for mission promotion is exactly that which gives credibility to what we do in terms of our fiscal administration. Just want to read through a couple paragraphs here because there's some key definitions and want to make some other comments. But regarding the administration of financial matters, Catholic schools are no different from any other company, institution, or corporation. They all are to employ the best of business practices according to generally accepted accounting standards. Now, that would be our expectation now. Perhaps it was in the past, but it's surprising how weak we have been as a church and in many institutions in the private sector in terms of embracing generally accepted accounting practices and good business management practices. And so such practices, when embraced, facilitate good management and operational efficiency, as well as uniformity of assessment. So when you have, institutions within an archdiocese or within an ecclesial setting who are under the same governance structure and leadership structure, it's very helpful if everyone is using the same profile or management structure or the fiscal reporting modalities, because then that way we can all do a comparative analysis from one parish to another, from one school to another, from one high school to another. We can put apples to apples and oranges to oranges in order to do a comparative analysis. But if everybody's using different things and different methodologies and we're not using commonly accepted accounting standards, well, then we're not sure where we all stand in comparison to one another. I think to do these good, uniform fiscal policies and management practices also fosters credibility. We want to have credibility in the public sphere, among the publics that we serve, in relationship to all of the other entities within perhaps the archdiocese. So in general, we have to embrace good bookkeeping. And bookkeeping is the orderly process of recording financial transactions. It could be as simple as recording what comes in on a given day, writing receipts for it, making deposits. Bookkeeping also attends to what goes out on a given day. That is the paying of invoices, the writing of checks, the sending them in the mail. And in this day and age of electronic transactions, a paper trail is still preferred, one way or the other, even if it's electronically produced. We have to have some kind of a paper trail that indicates that we actually have paid for something and that we have attended to our fiscal responsibilities. But both sets of transactions, accounts receivable and accounts payable, are to be correctly categorized according to an institutional chart of accounts. Over the years, bookkeeping has been done manually. I went to a high school when I was a teenager in which all we had to do was bring our check or cash into the front desk of the main office. and the secretary would receive it, count it to make sure it was just right, manually write the receipt. I saw that she wrote something in her cash receipt journal, and I imagine they tallied everything up at the end of the day, probably prepared a deposit slip, drove it to the bank, and that's how they handled everything manually. Maybe we still do that in many spheres of church life even today. However, there are a lot of electronic options that can help with the transfer of cash, the payment of bills, and in attending to our fiscal responsibilities. But over the years, bookkeeping has been done manually, perhaps with the mere use of a cash receipts journal and a cash disbursement journal. All such transactions are then to be recorded into the general ledger, a document that puts together in a comprehensive, orderly format so that both accounts receivable and accounts payable can be seen in relationship to one another. That way we can see what our balance is, where we stand, how is our cash flow, what do we have available in terms of resources, what is our account balance, etc. Now, accuracy to the highest level is the clarion calling of working with such numbers. Knowledge of fiscal status is critical to effective fiscal management. So each month, accounts are to be reconciled. So at the end of each month, you're supposed to put it all together and make sure it's in balance, in correspondence. When I arrived at my current parish, there was a lot of financial turbulence that took place there previous to my arrival. And among the things that was a glaring element of need was that we really did need at least a bookkeeper or someone who could balance the books. We were 6 months behind in terms of reconciling what was supposed to be a monthly fiscal responsibility of making sure everything was balanced and everything was reconciled, and it wasn't. And so among the first decisions I made when I went to this parish was, of course, to hire a budget director and to be sure that we got ourselves caught up in making sure that each of the months were reconciled. Now, of course, there's the manual approach, but there now seems to be today the online electronic accounting services, which there's a proliferation of, providing nearly instantaneous action in generating checks and producing balance status data that's helpful to fiscal administration. Electronic platforms put numbers at one's fingertips, and that is helpful information to have when we administrate whatever entity we're in charge of, whether it's our particular office or department, whether it's a parish, or whether it is a school. Now, some commonly used electronic platforms ranging from simple to complex are things like QuickBooks, Blackbaud, Quicken, Paylocity, ParishSoft, and when you get into schoolwork, of course, you have the various modalities that are connected with the program Rediker, just to name one, and there are other such programs. But that's more of a managerial, organizational platform, but there is also a financial element to that. Our Sunday Visitor also has some online giving modalities that can trace and track movement of monies and budgeting modalities as well. But with all that said, the question remains, whether done manually or done electronically, who takes care of these matters? And what staffing is essential for the size and scope of your institution? Because you might be in a small place, you might be in a large place, you might be in a multifaceted place. There may be many different departments that need individualized attention in whatever institution you're working in. When I was at a parish in Miami Beach, they had a model of having a bookkeeper with the total responsibility both for the parish and for the school. So it was one person doing everything. She prepared the deposits for the church, wrote the checks for the church. She's the one who was the tuition accounts manager per se, and was the one who paid all the invoices and expenses for the school. One person taking care of everything. Hard to believe that one person could do all that, but that's exactly what the model was there. When I was at a parish in Coral Gables, we had the model of a bookkeeper for the church and a bookkeeper for the school. So we had one person exclusively overseeing the 3,000 family parish with all of the envelope system, the weekly collection, the second collections, the special collections, the missionary cooperative, all the special financial initiatives, the deposits of all of that, the interaction with our bank, posting all of that data, making sure there was the monthly reconciliations, and then of course, uploading all that information to the electronic platform so that we could have a statement of activities to review and see where we stood. She took care of all that. And then we had someone who also was in charge of the school. They were the tuition accounts manager who collected all the fees, the registration fees, the security fees, the technology fees, the graduation fees, the tuition, and all the other such things, and had to follow up with invoicing information to each of the families. We eventually embraced Fax Tuition Management, which was a company that it does automated tuition collection. But even then, somebody has to upload the parent registration to that program and whatever their specific rate is going to be after we give them maybe multi-child discounts, or we give them faculty discounts, or we give them financial aid and assistance, and then we find out whatever their final figure is, that is uploaded to Fax Tuition Management. And so that person ends up to be the tuition accounts manager, in addition to paying all the invoices, processing the checks, and everything for the normal operation of the school. So that model is that there are two people, one for the parish and one for the school. A third model is that there could be a director of accounts receivable and a director of accounts payable for the church and for the school. Very similar to model number 2. When I was at Archbishop Carroll High School, where I was principal, I had that model where there was someone who took care of anything that came in terms of income and revenue stream, and did all the posting for that. And then there was someone who took care of personnel, human resources, contractual obligations, payroll disbursements, direct deposits, all of those kinds of things. So these two individuals actually had a more expansive role in regard to their responsibility in our budget department, a director of accounts receivable and a director of accounts payable. And then the fourth model is what I'm using currently at my parish of St. Gregory and Plantation, and that is I have 101 employees at my parish, which includes the 78 of the school. And as a result, I need a team to help me with 101 employees. It's a multi-million-dollar corporation, large parishes and large schools. That's the way it is. And so it's not something I have the time to do on my own, though I will have to say I prided myself in being able to use all of the electronic modalities. And if I needed to, I could actually do it myself. So I've learned how to do it. I know how to post things. I know how to deposit things. I know how to produce the reconciliations and the activity statements. I know how to put together the budget. I know how to do all those things. But I would rather have other people do it so I can do what I'm supposed to do as a priest. So, which not only is to offer leadership and supervision, but it's also to be involved in the pastoral care of things. So I put together a team of people. Fortunately, my parish is financially in position to do this, but I have a budget director who also doubles as a director of accounts receivable. I have a director of accounts payable who also doubles as the human resources coordinator. I have a tuition accounts manager who also doubles as the coordinator of scholarships and financial aid. And I have a finance office clerk, kind of like a secretary to the three of them, who assists them with all the files and all the organization of papers and invoices and paid checks and bank statements and all those kinds of things. And then, as if that isn't enough, I have a friend who is a financial consultant, and she comes in once a week to be sure that we're following diocesan policies and keeping up to date with all of our audit information, audit recommendations, and preparation for the next round of audits. So I actually have 5 people in my finance department for this parish and this school. So parishes and schools, admittedly, are complex, and these are the kinds of details that are happening behind the scenes in terms of Catholic culture and Catholic identity, those are things that are kind of like out there and seen publicly and on the walls and among our community members and among the people who are doing they're the movers and shakers making community life happen. Whereas the folks that are working in finances, I have them all together working in one second floor series of offices. They're behind the scenes. They take care of all this. I probably spend more time with them than anybody else on campus, and most people on campus have no idea that they exist. But they are essential to continuing the mission and making sure that the mission is effective and that it is done efficiently, virtuously, and with integrity. So they are complex, and they become even more so as the size of your parish or school increases. Large parishes and large schools can be indeed a daunting challenge to administrate as multi-million-dollar corporations. Recently in Florida, we just incorporated, at least in the Archdiocese of Miami, we incorporated all of our entities. So now I'm not just pastor of St. Gregory the Great Church, I'm actually the president of St. Gregory the Great Catholic Church and School Incorporated in Plantation, Florida. That's our title. And so I'm now a president. Okay, so that's my new title in addition to being a pastor. But now each of our entities are actually incorporated, and there are benefits to that in terms of relationship to state and government and banks and accounting firms and that sort of thing. So many hands make light work would be my argument. I believe in the team approach to fiscal management. I like to segregate responsibilities. I don't like to have one person totally in charge. I think that could set itself up to create some vulnerabilities and possibly some dangers. It also can be work overload. So I think many hands make light work. They also contribute to accuracy, efficiency, and credibility, topics that are expected of all organizations that involve fiscal realities. So my recommendation to you, in addition to kind of thinking through this as a behind the scenes way of giving integrity and even teeth to the mission, is that you always find a personnel structure and especially a fiscal structure that best suits the needs of your institution, the one that you administrate, and the size of that institution. Thank you.
Who's up for comment there?